Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Tuesday. That means good old buddy Martin here in just a second. Second half of the show, we're joined by former Gator wide receiver, played in the NFL for a long time. Now the head football coach at Gibbs High School in St. Pete, Lewis Murphy, will join us on the Titan MR Hotline. But speaking of the Titan MR Hotline, we're going to jump on down to Ocala. And we're joined by our good friend, Buddy Martin. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning, Shane. I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
Can't complain, buddy. Lots going on in the sports world. We got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, before we get to, all the hoopla and the negativity and this, that, and the other, let's go ahead and talk about tonight. The Heisman Trophy will be awarded. It's going to be very unique, obviously, because nobody's going to be in New York.
Yeah.
But it's sorry about that. But Kyle Trask is one of the four finalists.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to win it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Devontae Smith or Mac Jones are going to win it. But man, what a heck of a year he had.
Yeah, and it was it was crowded at the top. I sent my ballot in the last minute. And I had to leave some people off I thought were worthy. But it's just one award, one person, and they get it. And I think we shouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater here because it's been a wonderful story. You and I have talked about it. Everybody else has for the last year and a half or two. And his legacy will take care of all that. I know Gator fans appreciate and love him. Would have been a great story, though, had he beaten Alabama, won the Heisman, got a statue and all that sort of stuff. But all I got to say now is thank you, Kyle Trask, for the good time that you gave the Gator Nation. And good luck. And I hope you do well in the NFL and just close, Shane, but that only counts in what? Horseshoes. But he certainly left a great legacy. Yeah, had a tremendous career. We're all very fortunate we got to watch it. Yeah.
As you mentioned, the story. Well, book will be written one day. Heck, who knows? A movie maybe be put together. But yeah. So I mean, you don't think he's going to win tonight, right, buddy?
No. I don't either. Based on this, mostly the straw polls. Actually, I'm not going to take credit for this, but we started doing straw polls. Really, Shane, when you were playing, back in the day, we started to think, well, people won't tell you what's going on with the Heisman, so we'll get a hold of voters and ask them, how are you going to vote? And we came pretty close to predicting it every year. All the straw polls I've seen have Devontae Smith hands down, with probably, although Lawrence might have gotten in there somewhere, but he just didn't have enough body of work. And you could have voted for any three of the Alabama guys. You could have voted for him. And look, Najee Harris scored 5 touchdowns, right, in the SEC championship game.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get a breath for most people. I can't tell you who I voted for, but you can use your imagination and realize who I did in terms of not the Alabama players, but other guys. So it's a wonderful award. I think it's the best award in all of sports, in my opinion, but I'm a big college football fan. And look, when the HBC won it in 1966, he didn't go to New York. He got called basically out of class. He and Jerry did, Norm Carlson. They went down and accepted it by phone. So this whole Heisman hoopla, is the last 30 or 40 years, and it's great. But congratulations to all four young men, and especially to the guy who wears HBC's number 11, Kyle Trask.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder why Kyle wears number 11.
I do too.
Yeah, because his Twitter is Kyle Trask 9. So I don't know. A lot of times when you go to college these days, some guys get their numbers if you're so-called 5-star, but then they just give you a number. So I don't know if they just gave it to him or what.
I think they just gave it to him. I don't think I think I remember him saying he didn't get the significance of it right away, which is too bad because number 11 will always be Steve Spurrier.
Yeah, correct. No question about that. Okay, buddy. So there's so much crap going on Twitter, social media, or what have you. What are your thoughts on all this?
Well, I'm like a lot of other people. I'm wondering what is going on. And I'm wondering how authentic it is. And I'm wondering how it got started. And I wonder how it's going to end. And here's kind of how I see it. It's a disagreement or a spat, whatever you want to call it, that happened with the fan base and with Dan and whoever else, created by both sides. Dan created some of this himself. You can't talk about going someplace else to fans. They're unreasonable. They don't want to hear that. He made some mistakes. We know what they are. The NCAA probation was kind of a real shock, but not something would get him fired or run off. And he had a rough finish. When you lose 3 in a row, people are going to be upset, right? Having said that, if you understand football and know what he's done and know the history of Florida and the 10 years we've been around here without a quarterback, you understand families have disagreements. You take leverage on one side, and certainly every coach is going to use that when they can. And then you take fan base loyalty on the other, and you have this negotiation going on. And then you have a few hiccups. And what was a family argument becomes a bit of a public spectacle. And that's where we are now. I would like to write it off to all the internet jockeys and say that the trolls and idiots are driving this on Twitter. It's a little more than that. That's a big part of it. It's a little more than that. I don't want to make something out of nothing, but it is almost embarrassing if you look at it from that standpoint as a Gator fan. Look, love Dan Mullen, all in on Dan Mullen, but when Dan Mullen leaves, Gator fans will still be here. It's their team, right? So I get how they feel like they're being a little bit misled, and they don't know anything, Shane. You can't find anything out. So here we are in this dark hole with not wondering what happened when a month ago Dan Mullen was the sweetheart of the Gator Nation, instead of being painted as a petulant, ungrateful, money-grabbing, whatever you want to call it, by the critics. I'm not saying any of that's true. And the critics say, well, hey, you don't like it here? Go someplace else. We don't want you. Because the one thing that they loved about Dan Mullen was what? He got off the plane chomping. He wanted to be here, unlike his predecessors, and he showed the Gator fans that love, and they bought into the dream. They bought into the dream at a time when it was a tough year to find a dream in the last year. They were hopeful. They got this close and exploded, and it all kind of has gone from there. So that's a long explanation, but am I worried? I'm not worried. Am I concerned? I'm concerned. Am I disappointed? I'm a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, we got a Facebook Live here brought to you by Melton Law, where you matter most. Gary says, so why won't Mullen deny he's not looking to leave like Ryan Day from Ohio State? Okay, so here are my thoughts on this, buddy.
All right.
Here are my thoughts on this.
Okay.
It's a good thing that your coach is being talked about at the next level. The reason is because he's an offensive, innovative guy who has a history of doing very well with quarterbacks. Right. That's what the NFL wants these days. Mm-hmm. You know, they want guys that can call plays and can develop a quarterback. Here's why Ryan Day probably said that. Ryan Day is probably very happy at Ohio State, and it's a lot easier at Ohio State, buddy. They've been in the 14 playoffs several times, but they are the big dog up there in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. I don't give a damn about Michigan. Michigan is a mid-tier team now. So when you talk about the stress of recruiting and all that, Ohio State has none. Okay. You look at what take Dan Mullen out of it. Let's say Buddy Martin's the head coach at Florida. And what I'm trying to get people to understand, I think the Gator Nation does not understand the recruiting process. Okay. yes, if you're watching my show, you're probably a diehard Gator. You don't understand why player X does not want to come play at the University of Florida. He wants to go to Alabama. Well, I'll tell you the reason why. Because there's between Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and you could throw a couple other teams in there, but those three teams are going to get the best players in America because they've been in the playoffs, they've won recent championships, and they have the best facilities in America. Okay? So when Dan Mullen and his coaching staff goes and recruits Buddy Martin, and I don't care if you're the best recruiter in America, the worst recruiter in America, when I come sit down in your living room with your mama and your daddy, and I'm trying to get you to come play at the University of Florida, who's going to make that decision no matter what I'm doing as a coach? Who's going to make that decision? The 17-year-old kid, right?
Most likely, yeah.
Yes. So my point is, it doesn't matter what you do. That kid is going to make his decision where he wants to spend the next 3 years or 5 years of his life. It's not that Dan can't recruit or so-and-so can't recruit. The best players in America want to go to those places right now because they're playing for championships and they have the best amenities in America. And people don't want to hear that, but I've been preaching it for 15 years. Florida is about 12th in the SEC in facilities. Now, in 2 years, we're going to be right there with Alabama, but we're still fighting a huge uphill battle. People don't understand that. And if anybody sits here on any of these Twitters and these shows and these podcasts that these people say facilities don't matter, they're full of crap because they do. I went through it with my kid. I've seen every facility in the Southeast between the SEC and the ACC, and ours is the worst. Okay. But again, Scott Strickland was a year and a half ago, they approved to get this facility built. Now we're a little behind because of COVID, but I think it'll be ready in about 2 years and it's going to be state of the art. And then we're going to be on a level playing field with everybody else. And it bothers me when these people talk about Dan can't get 5 stars. Dan can't do this. Mm-hmm. What the hell do you want him to do? I don't know how you can convince a kid to go somewhere where he'd rather go somewhere else that has better stuff. Does that make any sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And I've tried to see this from both sides. I really was pretty rough on the Gator Nation the last 4 or 5 days and last night's show. And I'm like you, I feel a little discouraged and disgusted with some of the idiots out there. But this morning, I'm trying to look at it like this. Let's look at the fans for a second, okay? I know they are the best and worst. You're absolutely right about the facilities. You're absolutely right about having to recruit without facilities. And you're in a perilous position because right now is a critical time for this program that jumped up and suddenly was in the top 10. You can't have it fall apart. And the next 2 years, they got to keep contending. I mean, the fact that they were on the field, Alabama, and took it to them and fought them down to a 6-point game is a feather in Dan's cap. But they can't go backwards. If they go backwards between now and the time the facilities get here, the program will never catch up, not in our lifetime, maybe not in mine for sure, maybe not in yours. So this is a critical point. Gator fans, they're the best and worst. And again, like somebody said, nobody suffers winning like the Gator Nation. But let's just say for a second, let's put them over here and give them the benefit of the doubt. When you're talking about taking jobs and going someplace else to the NFL, fans don't like it. There's only
I understand that, but buddy, here's what I like to tell that fan. Okay, if you're working at a local little small community bank in town, and somebody offers you to be the CEO of a major bank in Charlotte, North Carolina, somewhere, you're going to listen.
Of course,
it's part of the business. And if we didn't have a guy that turned the program around in the right direction in the last 3 years, nobody we'd be losing games.
But Shane, you're talking about rational thinking. I'm not talking about rational thinking. Fans are not rational. Twitter. Well, no, it's a problem with fans everywhere. It's not just here; it's everywhere. And no matter what, the optics of a coach saying, I got this deal over here, but I love you, but I got this deal. Whether it's right or wrong, I get the leverage game. I understand it. You have to do it today because in 3 years, that could be gone. 2 years, that could be gone. It's a short-lived career if you're sitting there with no other offers. I understand the romance of being looked at. The romance. Look, I talked to Urban Meyer about it the other day, and he's not going to say very much, but he wouldn't say he didn't like it. And he's not an ego-driven guy. He didn't like, oh, I got all these offers. And I said, along the lines of, a lot of people are asking about you, wanting to know, and he didn't want to talk about it because he didn't want all the hassle that went with it. He's not even working in the job right now, but he understands you have to have your name out there if you're going to ever consider working again, right? So when you got that opportunity, you have to leverage it. But fans don't get that part. There's only been one prodigal son in this program. Nobody will ever be like him, Steve Spurrier.
Yeah, but he left.
I know, but he can get away with it because he's Steve Spurrier, right? Dan Mullen is not born of this nation. He's been here. He's closest thing to it because he coached here before. But you don't want this resentment to build up. And people say, why can't he just say? Well, they aren't going to say. Because if you say, Shane, what happens? You lose your leverage. If you say, oh, I don't really care about it. Now Ryan Day doesn't have to worry. He's got a team in the national championship, okay? Of course he's going to say, I'm opting in. I'm not opting out. I'm not talking. I don't want to go to the NFL. He may still go to the NFL one day, all right? People change your mind. So yeah, I'm with you 100% on what you're saying. I've said the same thing the last couple of weeks. I get it. But just for one moment, put yourself over here on this fan who's been loyal, who's bought in, who's given money to the university, supported the program, and thinking, what is going on? I got my coach for a lifetime. He's talking NFL. They feel a little betrayed.
Well, I get that, but the thing that bothers me the most is the whole recruiting aspect thing, and the Gator fans that aren't close. You don't even have to be close to the program. All you got to do is go visit universities. Now they're not going to let you in the football facilities probably, but it's bad, buddy, and it is killing our recruiting. And like I said, it's being built. It ain't nothing but dirt right now, and it's going to be about 2 years away. That will put us on a level playing field to be able to recruit kids. The days of a coach coming in and a kid, their granddad played at Florida, their dad played at Florida, their grandma was a cheerleader, and he wants to be a Gator. Those days are over. And then people, I have people that send me text, or tweets or Facebook Live message. Well, we didn't have a great facility when Spurrier was here, when Urban was here. The world was different. Yeah. Nobody had facilities then.
No doubt about it.
I just don't understand when people talk about recruiting, what they expect, whether you're a great recruiter or a bad recruiter, what they expect, how they expect a coach to change a kid's mindset when they're going somewhere. They want to play at a certain university. I don't understand why people are so critical of that. Because, it just blows my mind when it comes to this recruiting thing.
Yeah, I know.
It's like Coach Spurrier says, Alabama is going to get the best players in the country every year. From here on out.
The scholarships are worth more. That's what he says.
Well, here's what's going to get even worse next year with the image, name, and likeness deal.
Yeah.
It's going to get worse because they're going to have billboards of Najee Harris and Devontae Smith. And they're going to have a Ford dealership paying them $50,000 to drive a Ford. Yeah. So we're going to have people in Gainesville step up and give money to these players. It's getting ready to be a nightmare.
It's changed a lot. It's tough to adjudicate it, tough to understand it. I know it's a boiling pot right now. The recruiting thing has been there. It's like, Shane, I'm not a real tweet guy, although I have an account and I have like 3,000, whatever. I'm not one of those big guys. I posted a tweet the other day just by saying the ingratitude shown to Dan Mullen. That's the kind of thing that's going to run him out of here if he goes. Not necessarily because you tweeted it, but just the attitude. And, you need to understand what's going on here. And I've admonished the fans. 70,000 responses to that tweet. 70,000. Not because it was a great tweet, because it's an emotional time right now. And people are saying, hey, I bought into the dream. I'm with Dan Mullen. I'm with you. I'm with him. Win or tie, they will say. And, they bought into the dream. And suddenly everything came down on their head. 3 straight losses. Trash doesn't win the Heisman. Dan has acted up a little bit. Recruiting is a whole other story. They'll never satisfy the recruiters out there. They'll never satisfy those people. Just do what you can do. And they're missing the big story, which is development of players, which is what Dan does. We know that. You know that. Look at you. You're a prime example. Kyle Trask, prime example, development. Coach Spurrier, John Reeves, others developed you. Look what you, two-time MVP of the SEC. So there are players, but you can't build no offense, a whole program around Kyle Trask and Shane Matthews. You have to have some of those other guys.
No, I agree. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We're the largest community bank in the state of Florida. Understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Center State Bank, member FDIC. Speaking with Buddy Martin here on the Titan More Hotline from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be joined by Lewis Murphy in a little bit. You talk about the 5-stars. I think every 5-star we have on our roster ain't produced at all, if you think about it.
No.
You know, Lingard's a 5-star. He doesn't even play.
He actually looked pretty good. He looked pretty good on one carry. I like the way he
I
know.
I mean, he was.
I understand.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
glad to see him.
And Gervon Dexter hadn't performed at all.
No.
I'm trying to think of who the other so-called 5-stars are. So, you know, it is what it is. Alabama's got 1 million of them, and they got their best class they've ever had coming in this year, which is crazy.
But you have too many of them. Georgia had too many.
Yeah. So, buddy, you text me wanting to know between the president and Scott Strickland, if Mullen were to leave, who may be on their list?
Yes.
And I don't like talking about this because he's still our coach, and I don't think he's going anywhere. But who's on your list?
Well, and then I want to get to 3 reasons why people are saying things about Mullen right now, too, if I can, before we go. It's your show. I'm just a guest here. But, I mean, it's the same list you're not talking about yesterday. That's a problem. There is nobody I can say this is the person. There's no obvious choice. If you make a list, you have to throw these names around. Among them, I mean, Lane Kiffin comes up all the time. Will he pass muster at the University of Florida? And President Fox, by the way, he may be involved in this too. He may be unhappy about the probation. I don't know this, but you hear rumblings. If he's involved and he's unhappy, that creates more angst, and that means Dan Mullen's going to really take the interviews in the NFL. So Lane Kiffin, I think, probably the best guy now, and I can't base it on his record because it's not that great. Matt Campbell, I think he's a good up-and-coming coach. He's done a great job at Iowa State. The most popular would be Hugh Freeze. Does he have too much baggage? He's a hell of a coach. And then the name I'm going to throw out there, and it'll never happen unless it's the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th choice. Jamie Chadwell from Coastal Carolina has done a heck of a job as a coach. I don't know him. I don't know his background, I don't know about it, but he's a hot guy right now. And then you can throw a few other names in there. Speaking of coaches, by the way, Brian Johnson is being asked to interview for the Boise State job. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know who's on their list. I mean,
I saw a couple.
What's funnier, the 3 guys that come to mind that I've talked to some former players that we love. Obviously, Sarkisian, but he's gone.
He's gone.
He had a lot of baggage.
Right.
Hugh Freeze would be a great coach too, but he's got a lot of baggage. Right. And Lane, who's a tremendous coach, he's got a lot of baggage.
Right, a lot of baggage.
You know, Matt Campbell. I like Matt Campbell, but I don't know if his style of play the Gator fans would like. I mean, you talking about boring?
Yeah,
it's pretty damn boring. They lull you to sleep and win games. So.
Oh yeah, now they're going to say forevermore. Where's Dan Mullen? We had Dan Mullen. He led the nation in passing. How come we can't get Dan Mullen? That's why Gator fans are. They forget the fact you get the best passing game in the country. That is by the numbers. Can I tell you my 3 reasons why I think people are ticked off at Dan? I'm going to make it 5 actually. I think the perceived disloyalty is one. I think losing 3 games in a row, unhappy. But the ones that really got upset are they think he's lost control of the team after the Alabama game and players opted out. They want to blame him for that. I know that's not the case.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
Of course, but that's part of it. But losing 3 will do that to you. Then they think he should have fired Todd Grantham.
Here's the other thing. Okay, that bothers me too, because there's so many people that sit behind a keyboard that they want to draw plays and diagram plays of what happened in a game. Okay, I played about 30-something years of football.
100 years of football. Yeah,
I could sit here and pull up game tape from the Florida Gators.
Yeah.
As much as I know from X's and O's and where you're supposed to read and stuff, I can't tell you what's supposed to happen because I don't know what the play calls were. I don't, you see what I'm saying, buddy?
Sure.
So these people on Twitter that pull up and break down tape that so-and-so should have done this, so-and-so should have done it. They don't know even know what the hell the play was called.
That's true.
On offense or defense. So it's ridiculous. And then all these people, look, was the defense good? No. Previous 2 years, defense was pretty good. It's not like Ty Grantham can't coach anymore. Again, they got rid of where they thought were some issues. And honestly, I don't think our talent's been great back there.
No,
or on the front, or on the defensive line. I told you that at the beginning.
You did. You said it during the day. I care about the back end. They need to have a
I care about the front end because if the front end plays well, the back end will be a lot easier.
Probably. Yeah, you're probably right. And the last one was, and this one I have to say is an issue. He got Florida on NCAA probation. That's a shocker. Nobody can understand. I still don't understand that. I don't understand the show cause, what it means. That's not a firing act, but that's another reason people are ticked off about Dan Mullen. You know how I am. I just wrote 4 weeks ago, I'm all in on Dan Mullen. He's the guy. He ought to be here forever. Let's celebrate what he's done. So, yeah, there's some stuff going on right now. By the way, just to clarify, as I said to Coach Meyer a couple of weeks ago, when you say media, don't put everybody in that same pot. The guy with 35 followers on Twitter, okay?
Right.
Honest, hardworking journalists who do their homework resent that.
No, I agree. The ones that bother me are the ones that try to break down X's and O's.
Well, okay.
They've never even put on a helmet.
Yeah.
And even though I've put on a helmet for 1,000 years, I can't even break the tape down because I don't know what's being called.
Yeah, well, you're right.
What blows my mind.
And I'll give you an example. Was it I'll get it mixed up. Was the LSU game where he called back-to-back quarterback draws down the goal line?
That was Alabama. Okay.
Alabama. Okay.
No.
I get it mixed up.
He called it against Oklahoma. It was Oklahoma.
It wasn't Oklahoma.
Okay, but I text you.
Well, here's the point. Yeah, go ahead.
It was Oklahoma. Okay. He called quarterback power from about the 5-yard line.
Right.
It was the best blocked play we've had the entire year.
Yeah.
Kyle took the snap, ducked his head, and ran right into the back of the center. If he hits to the 4 hole where it's supposed to go, if he has his head up, which Kyle's not a runner, he walks in and hits his head on the goalpost. It was a cupcake. I mean, the best block play we had all year.
Yeah, but that's one time. There's 2 times back to back.
Very next play, we call the same thing, but Kyle checked to it, and it wasn't blocked very well.
That's my point. Is that exactly what I was going to say to you? I don't know I was going to say. How do you know that wasn't a check by Kyle?
It was because I saw him. You could tell when he's checking off.
Right.
But the previous play was a perfect play call.
Yeah.
And granted, Kyle didn't make a good run on it. He just kind of lowered his head because he's not a runner and ran into the back of the lineman. But
that speaks to the issue you're talking about. You just criticizing Mullen. Mullen didn't call that play. Kyle checked to it, okay?
Well in the first play he called, he would have scored. If he
But again, you don't know what's going on in the field, as your point. I'm trying to validate what you're saying. There's one right there. People who got ticked off by the back-to-back quarterback draw plays. Well, guess what? Mullen didn't call one. So there you go, the second one. So anyway, that's you're right. I get it, but I also think it's the right of fans to be able to express their opinion. It's the right of fans to be able to it's the art of the second guess. All fans do it. Let's be honest. Everybody thinks they know how to call plays. You know, I used to have a friend who said everybody knows how to start a fire, run a restaurant, and call plays. You know.
Buddy, we got a Facebook Live here brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Danny wants to know, why doesn't one of the sports writers contact Strickland to get some info?
Because he's not going to talk about it. Because he's not going to
give you any info.
Yeah, let me just give you my whole story here. The people, you don't understand. The whole thing about writers, they don't get told. They keep them in the dark. They don't want them to know it. That's the problem. It isn't like you can call them up and say, hey, I'm writing this story, Scott, how about give me the whole story? You can't even get them on the line. And if you do, they're not going to talk about it. It's not that's an unrealistic world. Would I like it? I'd love it, but it's not going to happen.
But before we let you go, let's switch gears. Florida Gator basketball team played very well against LSU. They play a team that's very hot right now tonight. They play Alabama, who just upset Tennessee and Knoxville. Did you get to watch any of the game?
I did, and I really like Castles. And boy, I was surprised at the athleticism that guy's got. Was he 6'10" or 6'11"? Lit it up for 21 and 23, whatever it was. I'm surprised. And playing without Keontae, showed a lot of heart, and that was a really big win for them against LSU, who's very, very good, but as you know. Now, I think the Saturday game is Kentucky, and I think Jeffrey Melton is sponsoring that game, giving out T-shirts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So your sponsor, my sponsor and friend Jeffrey Melton, involved in that. So it's not the same Kentucky though. Boy, they having problems, huh?
Oh, yeah. You talking about a bunch of 5-stars that ain't playing real well?
Yeah, really.
Oh, I think we run them out of the gym. I really do.
Yeah.
Buddy, who you got on the show tonight?
Well, I got you. We're going to continue this discussion on Tuesday nights, and then of course we've got David Moulton from down in South Florida, and maybe a surprise guest too. We'll be talking to tonight on the program. So to understand at 9:00 on Facebook Live.
Oh, so I can't. I gotta ask you this because we won't talk to you again until next week.
Yeah.
Two last things.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins the national title between Alabama and Ohio State?
Yeah, I think Alabama.
Do you?
Yeah.
Man, I was impressed with Ohio State. Okay,
shoot.
so you do a podcast with Urban, and I know you may or may not have some inside information. Does Buddy Martin think Urban Meyer will be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Well, that's a different question, but do I think or do I know? I know nothing. I know nothing.
Right. I'm just asking your opinion.
No, I appreciate it, and my gut tells me no. My gut, but
really?
My gut has been wrong a lot of times. Something is obviously going on. They're going to hire a coach. Urban's name has been up there. He's not denied it. There's reports from very good people like Adam Schefter, who's a smart reporter and knows people in the league, coming out of the Jacksonville side and other places. The Urban's talked about staff and what have you. But it just doesn't feel right. But I wouldn't be shocked, I guess, given all the talk. And the times I've talked to him for 23 consecutive weeks for 45 minutes to an hour, and mostly for the podcast. You would think I'd have an inkling of what he's going to do. I got no clue. I've kind of asked him. He hasn't denied it, but he hasn't confirmed it, and he doesn't really want to talk about it. So I'm like you. I don't know.
Well, we're going to ask my next guest, who played wide receiver for him, what he thinks about it. So, buddy, we'll talk to you tonight, buddy. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure to be on your show, Shane. Look forward to having you on tonight.
That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. We're going to take our first time out of the program. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Ribs, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click the advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to this Tuesday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Celebration Point's where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Nike, Sensei, Prime and Pearl, and opening soon, Dave & Buster's, and coming spring of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators come to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by former Gator wide receiver, two-time national champ, Louis Murphy. Good morning, Louis. How are you?
Man, good morning. Good morning, Shane, man. Happy New Year to you.
Same to you, my man. You got your Buccaneer gear on. Just so everybody knows, you're the head football coach at Gibbs High School in St. Pete, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, I want to go back to the young Lewis Murphy, high school star, track star, and we got a text here on the Titan Mar text line. It comes from Daryl. He wants to know why Lewis Murphy became a Gator.
First of all, I want to say, man, it's an honor to be on your show, man. Grew up watching you, as a Gator fan, and I've always been that player, man. I always give credit where credit's due, man, and pay homage, man. So, what was your question? What was your question again? Okay, well, what made me choose to be a Gator?
Yep.
Well, man, I grew up. Man, I grew up loving Florida State, and Miami. I grew up liking all the teams. Florida State was hot at the time. Miami was hot at the time, coming out in early 2000s. And honestly, man, just to be completely transparent, I told myself whichever out of the big three offer me, that's where I'm going first. And Florida was the first one under Ron Zook, and Larry Fedora took a shot on me at a football camp, man. My junior year, we were 0-10, Shane. We were 0-10.
Oh, wow.
My junior year. So just imagine, junior year trying to be recruited. I had the USFs and the FAUs, FIUs. But, so I did the camp trail, just grinding it out. And Florida was the first one to offer. So that's kind of what solidified it, man. But, I grew up liking all the teams, all sports, man. So.
Yeah, I forgot you came in, with Zook and that crew, and then they had a coaching change.
I was offered, by Zook and Larry Fedora, but I only played under Meyer.
That's right. So you played all years under Coach Meyer, and there's a lot of talk about Coach Meyer possibly going and coaching the Jaguars. Just talk a little bit about what made Urban Meyer the coach he is. We've heard about all the how he motivates players, all those mat drills or competitions of tug of war or wrestling or whatever y'all did. Just talk a little bit about what made Coach Meyer, how he was wired.
Man, he was wired, man. Some stories, man. You were Spurrier's first year, right?
Yes.
You were Spurrier's first. So you understand, coming in with a new head coach, first year, you're a freshman, he's coming in to set the law. And, man, honestly, man, all my teammates that's been from Mississippi have been great teammates, man. So I just had to say, like, Jason Campbell, man, one of my close friends as well. But, yeah, just coming in under Meyer, coming in that first year, man, he came in cracking that whip, man. He was awarded, man. It was very militant, man. It was very militant. It was not no nonsense. He was coming in with a purpose. He set a standard. He used to always say, man, leaders set a standard and demand that everyone lives up to it. And man, it was just everybody was on eggshells, man. For after the first championship, everything eased off. But until then, man, it was rough, man. It was rough. The workouts were intense. He had a no tolerance, non-negotiable, anything for any nonsense, anything like, man, the marijuana and, skipping class, man, it was punishment, man. And, but it set the culture, it set the temperature of what he expected from us. And then he just set one motto was I believe him, Saban, and Belichick all use the same motto, is just do your job, do your job and everything else will take care of itself, All 11 guys doing their job.
Yeah.
All 11, we can't have 9, we can't have 10. We got to have all 11 guys doing their job. And I think that's what everybody bought into that and that mentality. And, just everybody just handling what they need to handle, and that's what kind of helped us, succeed.
We're speaking with Lewis Murphy here on the Titan More Hotline, 2-time national champion at the University of Florida. And so, Lewis, you got to play with Tebow and with Chris Leak, who's our all-time leading passer. I think a lot of people forget that about Chris. Tremendous player.
I didn't know that.
Talk a little bit about what it was like playing with Chris as the quarterback. And we do know in 06, Tebow was on that team, but he was more, I like to call him a fullback that year.
Yeah.
He was a fullback. And then he became the quarterback and won in 08. But just talk a little bit about the leadership skills of both of those guys.
Man, two great leaders, man. Tebow was that workout warrior, and Chris worked out hard as well, but he was more so like that quiet leader. It was, kind of two different approaches. Tebow too was quiet. Tebow, honestly, that's another thing. Tebow didn't really say too much, man. The media portrays him as someone that, said a lot and did a lot of motivational speeches. Like he didn't really say too much, man. I mean, you had, probably 5 to 10 first rounders surrounded by him, man. And, he didn't say too much, man, but he led by action. They both led by actions. Tebow, one of the hardest workers, if not the hardest worker I've ever been around. It was, of course, Chris Leak threw the most prettiest ball that, a lot of people say that a lot of people have ever seen. They both had their own ways of leading, but and I would say they both were kind of quiet and subtle leaders, man, more so than anything. Now that I actually really think about it, that's a great question.
Yeah. We got a text here, a Facebook Live brought to you by Melton Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. John wants to know, Murph, what's the story about Tebow stealing your speech at halftime of the 08 championship game?
Oh, man. Hey, man, you gotta watch the video, man. That speech, man, being the captain on that team. A lot of people talk about that. Well, I know about it. It was in the moment, man. It was in the moment, man. I was more of a vocal leader, on the team. And my man Tebow, man, just came in flowing, man, like the Holy Ghost caught him, If you watch really watch that clip or that 30 minutes, you could kind of see me talking before and he just barges through. But Tebow, for that, man. I love you, man. You can talk anytime. You can interrupt me anytime you want to, man.
At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today, 352-244-0840. Speaking with Lewis Murphy on the Titan More Hotline from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Lewis, let me ask you this. I know as the 06 team, you weren't a starter, I don't believe. I think you played a little bit.
Yeah.
In your mind, because a lot of people want to compare the national championship teams from the 96 team with Werfel and his crew, the 06 and 08. Which team's better, the 06 or 08 team?
Oh, man. That's I would say I would have to. I don't know. I guess I'll have to answer that question with a question, man. I would compare the 08 team and the 06 team to Coach Myers' Ohio State championships teams. And that can be politically correct.
Yeah.
But both teams were great, man. And of course I was a senior, man, so I would give the nudge too. But both teams were explosive, man, and I feel like we had a lot of great leaders, like the Dallas Bakers and the Chris Leaks and those guys, man, Jamel Cornelius, those guys were good leaders. And then 08, man, we had a bunch of studs, man. The Panthers, Percy Harvin, Carlos Dunlap, guys still playing, Janoris Jenkins, Joe Hayden. They're still in the league right now, playing at a high level. Call him Joe Diggity, they were 10-0, Steelers were 10-0 for a while. And, in the playoffs, Janoris Jenkins with the New Orleans Saints. Pouncey is the center for Ben Roethlisberger the last 10 years, 11 years, 12 years. Pouncey has that new kid over in LA with Justin Herbert from Oregon. Mm-hmm. Dunlap just got put on with Seattle. He's finally getting out of Cincinnati, which I know he couldn't wait to get out of. So, I mean, man, that team there, man, it's loaded, man, top to bottom.
It definitely was loaded, no question. We got a Facebook Live here. It comes from Brandon. He wants to know what your thoughts are on about these college players opting out. What are your thoughts?
What's your thoughts, Coach? Man, you tell me.
Well, I look at it this way, Lewis. If you're guaranteed a first round pick like Kyle Pitts, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to hear your point. I think playing in college football is the greatest experience you'll ever have. I mean, you play 8 or 9 years in the league. It's different, because in college, it's a bond. It's guys that you're going to hang out with, you're going to talk with the rest of your life. Whereas in the pros, you got a couple good buddies, but you may never see them. You may text them or whatever. But college is different, and you only have a short period of time to play college football. You're playing for your university. I think those kids, if you're not a guaranteed first rounder, you need to play because you may make your team better. But I know they're concerned about injury, but heck, you can get hurt at the Senior Bowl. So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, man, I would have to agree with you, man. Of course, but then, talking to a 19, 20-year-old, 21-year-old kid, man, and telling them that they think the NFL is the greatest experience of going to be of their life because they're making money, and which, we all kind of find out, man, like I heard it, college is going to be your best experience, college is going to be your best experience, and then come to find out they were right. We go to the league, man. I remember getting drafted to the Oakland Raiders, man, and walking out in the stadium for pregame warm-up, and it was literally like you could hear like birds chirping, like it was like nobody there. It was like probably 10,000 people, coming from the swamp to the Coliseum, man. I was like, man, well, this is the NFL. It wasn't had an experience like, so I think, both they have some validity, like you said, first round, Kyle Pitts. I honestly think Tony could be a first round pick. I think he's a Percy Harvin type of player, Alvin Kamara type of player, but he probably won't go first round. I actually was surprised Trash played. Because, I see him. I don't know. You're a quarterback. I would give him a first round grade from this year. He over 40 touchdowns, under 10 interceptions, 4,000 yards passing. But like the guys that are on the bubble that get that second round, that third round, fourth round tier, fifth round tier, I think you should play in the bowl game. But if you're a guaranteed first lock, which we all know, who's going to be a lock, lottery pick, you should definitely, opt out.
Yeah, speaking of Kyle had a tremendous year. I think he's supposedly the sixth quarterback in their, Mel Kiper and all those guys. So they're thinking maybe second, third round. But he's a guy that, in my opinion, he may not be a starter in the NFL, but he's going to last a long time. He's a much better player than some of the guys you had as quarterbacks. I mean, think about they look at the NFL like Jamarcus Russell was one of your quarterbacks in Oakland. Had all the talent in the world, but he can't play a lick when the bullets start flying.
Yeah, exactly, man. Trash goes through his reads, man. I was at a spring practice, I think about 3 years ago, and I was out there with Dan and with Coach, man, and watching practice, man, and he just kept jumping out to me. I was like, man, this kid Trash, Coach. I was like, this kid is your quarterback,
Yep.
And at the time they had Franks there, and I was like, I like Franks, but Trash was just zipping it around, man, and it wasn't like he was going down the field. He was hitting the bench routes. He was simple reads, smash concept. They're off coverage, taking the hits right away. Opposed to patting the ball back there, or I remember he hit like I don't know what they call it, bench route, circus route, to the corner man and put it right in front of the receiver. versus cover 3, man. And I was like, wow, man, this kid really can throw the ball. He hit a deep dig coming in on the backside. And I was like, I like this quarterback, man. And Lord, nobody wants to see anybody get hurt. But when Franks went down, man, that Kentucky game, man, I ended up on my bets. I went up on my bets, man. I was like, man, Trash kid, and everyone was like, oh no, man, Trash we don't know who is this kid. And I was like, watch. And he came in and slinging it around, come out, we were down by 10, came in, won the game. I like him, man. Like you said, you played, 15 years?
14 somehow. I don't know how.
Man, shoot, man, I know how. Shoot, you understand the game, man. League, man, I think the backup quarterback is one of the best positions, man.
It is. There's no question. Lewis, last thing before we run out of time here. Last thing for you, I want the Gator Nation to know you're a head football coach in high school at Gibbs High School. What made you want to get into that, and do you enjoy coaching young kids at the high school level?
Man, I love it, man. I love it. I love coaching kids at the high school level, man. I want to come back on the show, man, because I want to pick your brain, man, because you're a head high school football coach. I want to know about this third-string kid that came in at the end of the game, Anthony, what is he, from Eastside High School?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Anthony Richardson.
I'm pretty sure you've seen him, man.
Yep.
I want to, I love kids, though, man. I've always loved kids. I've done a nonprofit first down for life. I lost my mother to breast cancer when I was 20, my senior year at Florida. And, she worked with kids, man, and that's always been my passion. So, just, going through you've been a coach for years now, man. First year learning the whole how it goes, man, and, just building a program, man. I don't want a good team. I want a good program. So that's what we're trying to do.
That's good stuff. Well, we're going to have you back on. We ran out of time, Lewis. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Good luck to your Buccaneers down there this weekend.
Yeah,
and
go Bucs, man.
We'll talk to you soon, bud.
All right, Shay, man. Take care, man.
That's Gator great Lewis Murphy joins us on the Titan MR Hotline. Going to take our final time out of the program. We'll come back. We'll wrap this show up.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Aver and Smith Personal Injury Attorneys, Orange Theory Fitness, and Dowling Signs. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click the Advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. This month, get a free annual maintenance plan with every residential duct cleaning, $199 value. Service department's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This day in sports, in 1996, Miami Dolphins coach Don Shula announces his retirement from football. That's brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. We had a poll going here for the Heisman Trophy. Devontae Smith was the highest at 50-something%, and Kyle Trask behind him. I think it's going to be Devontae Smith, Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, Trevor Lawrence is my choice in the rankings today. I want to thank Buddy Martin for joining us. Also want to thank our good friend Lewis Murphy for joining the program. Make sure you watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many other ones as well. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, folks. We'll see you then.
Bye.